Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Just Bloom, the podcast. I am your host, Kiki Orr, and how lucky am I? I mean, I get to have two cast members. You had Dania last week, and now we're here with Stephanie Varone. Woo! My my other housemate from my mom did it again. My Mom, Your Dad, a dating series that is now on HBO Max, streaming now. I am so excited to have Stephanie here. One of the things I said, and it's worth being repeated, is that you did not get a chance to really learn a lot about my cast members, kind of who they are, where they come from. You got to see kind of the dating experience, but this is an opportunity for you to get to see them in their light and in their full glory. You know, and let's just say this is a continuation from the show. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. First time on your Just Bloom podcast.
Thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to be like Steph. I mean, her name is Stephanie, but you know, when you start to get acquainted, you know how we do. You just start calling people by like shorten the name. That's that homegirl vibe right there.
I love it.
What you don't know about Stephanie is that she's a singer-songwriter performer. She also has a lead singer in a band called Starlette Web.
Starlette, actually, Starlette.
Yeah, I like Starlette Web. And you would think I was very biblical, and I'm not.
You know what, Kiki? The first time I went through like hundreds of names to finally, I thought of Starlette's Web first, and then I said. Okay. You know, that had all the other names and Charlotte's Web and Scarlet's Web. And then I finally, everybody had, like, there's another band with that name. So I came up with Starlet's Web. Starlets of the Stage. It's a tribute to women in music, all different genres. So it's really unique and nobody has it in the world. So I'm like, starletsweb.com. That's what I'm going to name it. So Stars of the Stage and a web of drama and all that. So, yeah.
I love that. And the star you are, and talking about drama. But before I get into the drama aspect of it, a star you are, you've also sung on many stages for the NFL, right? And what else? What else have you sung, and where else have you been featured? Because your resume is extensive.
Yeah, I've been blessed to be able to sing our national anthem all across the country. My bucket list was Wrigley Field for the Cubs, and also at Fenway, and I've done both. I've sung I think I've sung more national anthems. Honestly, like, I don't know, a few hundred times. I don't know really of anyone in the nation who's done it that much, but I might have somebody out there that has sung it a few hundred times, but I love the song. It's a tough one to sing, but I really love singing it. It's more of a spiritual thing for me. It's kind of a spiritual hymn for me, and I love having people sing along with me. So whenever I get that opportunity, even if it's like a small congregation or like 60,000 people, it's the same to me. Like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So yeah.
That's the art. That's the art of a true performer, though, right? A true performer, doesn't matter if it's 10 or 10,000, right? You always still bring the same level of energy when you sing. And speaking of singing, you have a beautiful voice, and we had the opportunity to not hear it full out, but there were moments. We had moments of being able to experience the voice that is Stephanie Varone. So powerful. And you may have seen I think they showed on the show, there was like the Margarita. I didn't really show Margarita Mama, but there's a Margarita Mama.
We might have some like behind the scenes clips where we'll put that out on social media. It was so funny. It was just like, and you know, I was coming up with Joel's like show. I was doing a jingle for him, and I actually thought about your jingle, and I just thought about that today. I'm like,
did you? Oh, come on now. Wait, do it again. Let me get into it. Ready? What would you say?
Just bloom.
Yes, I love that. You're going to have to do that as our outro.
It's kind of a Faith Hill, Just Breathe. I just copied that.
Yeah, got you.
That's what I got. I got for you.
That's good. I'll take it. Thank you for that. Stephanie, as you can already witness and experience here, is full of energy, full of joy, full of life. And that is the way in which she came into the house. And so talk a little bit about like your experience in coming into the house. Were you excited? What did you think when you first walked into the room? Like walked into the room and saw us sitting there?
Yeah. So, as you know, because you came in right before me, we were the later bloomers. I think they brought in the two spark plugs. I mean, like fiery women, both of us very direct, both kind of alphas, just very strong, just kind of shaking up stuff. But when I came in, I was able to see everybody sitting down so I could kind of eye out everything to prep before I actually walked in and surprise everybody. I was a little nervous, but excited. And I was able to just take a quick roundabout, like you probably did, a quick eyeball on everybody. And then I saw you. Right. I'm like, ooh, I love her. She's like New York. I mean, I love it. Like,
yes, New York. Manhattan specifically. We keep laughing at Manhattan specifically. But I was happy that you came in. And I will say this, as transparent as I always am, right? Initially, I was like, oh, are they looking to create some level of like drama, bringing two women in at the same time that spark, like, what is this really about? So I can get in my head about certain things like that. But I was happy to be able to have someone that came in at the same time as I did, because the other castmate had an opportunity to bond prior to us. And so we were like, like the second class.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of felt like that.
And so it was good. But speaking of that, not only did we come in together, but we also are two of the older women in the house, right? You being 51, yes?
Yeah, I was 50 actually. I was like a month shy of 51 on the show as the oldest woman on there. And, and then you're like a year younger than me, right? So,
I will be 50.
You're turning 50.
That's right. Yeah, I'm turning 50.
And I'll be 52 this summer. So yeah, you're about a year and a half younger than me, but it was fine. I mean, I can roll with it, whatever.
You have to imagine, for you, what is it to have an experience where you get to be, I guess we consider middle-aged women that get to be like on a television show to find love, because we don't get to see many women our age on television and this thing. So what did that mean? What did that mean to you?
Well, first of all, Yvonne on one of her posts is like senior citizens. I'm like, girl, this is not, we're not senior citizens.
Put some respect on my name. Put some respect on my age.
We're not senior citizens yet. Don't put us in that bucket. It's like we're not older than 65.
No.
Right? And I loved it. I'm so happy that we were able to represent our age group, because there's nothing on TV like this yet. And this is what people are saying. This is what the viewers are saying, that it's so refreshing to not see like this drama, when you got the 20-year-olds on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, and people they'd rather see more of adult, a realistic show like us. And I think it's really been needed for many, many years. And finally, Greg and Haley Daniels thought about this. And I've been thinking about this for years too. And it's so weird that I manifested myself on the show, because I've been saying, why don't they have dating shows for like people our age? And then all of a sudden here, boom, I'm on a show that shares, the pain and the joy, or, the difficulty of dating in our age group. It's real hard. I mean,
We'll talk about that for a minute, Stephanie, because talk about the challenges that you had in dating. What were some of the things that you were up against? And we're going to talk and get a little bit more into kind of being alpha women or women that are direct. And so what was the experiences that you had in dating? What were some of the challenges?
In the show or just in general?
Well, no, just prior to the show, just dating in general.
I mean, not to sound arrogant, but I don't have a lack of opportunities, right? I'm sure with you too, you're a beautiful older women. My thing is that they have a lot of young men, specifically like early 30s, who think I'm in my 30s or whatever. And I always get hit on by these guys that are in their 30s. And it's kind of frustrating because I mean, I do end up, if I do have a boyfriend, it's typically my age, which is rare. But I'm pretty selective. You know, I've been on the stage and I have a different, I don't know, there's a lot of jealousy that happens. They say, oh, I can handle it. And then they can't handle it. It's just really frustrating for me. Being in the limelight and things like this, they think that I'm going to cheat, which I've never cheated in my life. I'm very loyal. They don't get that because I think if they put themselves in my position, they probably would cheat, right?
Mm-hmm,
But
so they're projecting, they're putting that stuff on you.
exactly, they transfer it to me, and I'm like, this is not my issue; it's your issue. Like, so it gets very challenging, and it's very difficult to find a man who can handle that. I found a couple.
But do you? So have you dated younger men before? Like, what's the youngest?
Why not? Why not? I mean, but is it realistic? No, not really. But
right.
I mean, why not? I mean, if they're the only ones asking me out, I get other people, but I'm just not interested, you know. Either I'm not, like, I don't know. I just...
You know, it's interesting. Yvonne said when you came in and they show this on the trailer, right? Yvonne was like, she said you gave a very presidential answer. When she was like, so who are you interested in or what are you looking for? You were like, well, I'm just going to give everyone a chance. And it felt very political. But let me ask you this. Well, I mean, I'm sure it was true, but was it that were you being very slow or selective, or did you already eye folks and did you already know then that like there wasn't anyone of interest, or you felt like people were already taken? Like, what were you thinking in that moment?
Well, I told my son, I said, look, this is what I'm going to give you because I'm going to be the most vulnerable. I'm going to try to be as open-minded as possible in this journey on this show. And so that was actually a legit answer. I really, even though, you know, I was eyeing Troy right away. He was my number one, right? And then Philip, Senior. And typically, like, I'll be honest, I've never been, I don't know, I generally don't, I'm not typically open to date African American men. It's just, I don't know, it's just one of those preferences. It's like if somebody likes brunettes or blondes or whatever. But I was very excited because I really was interested in Philip as well, Philip Senior. And that was kind of like, I was open to this, right? So I was really proud of myself of growing and developing and being more open, right? Not just pigeonhole myself into just a one type, right? So those two gentlemen I was very interested in. And so, but it just didn't happen because we came in a week later and everybody already had established relationships and it was hard. So
what didn't happen was, Philip didn't have an established relationship. I mean, Troy, yes, but Philip didn't.
But Philip is also Philip's choice too. Like he had opportunities galore, but it's also Philip's choice of if he was interested in anybody or not. You know, maybe not being so open. Maybe he's just had kind of like this wall. I don't know, but you know, I talked to him later, and he's like, "Why don't you tell me?" I said, "Well, because I kind of feel like if you're interested, you can. I showed you I was interested.
You'll let it be known.
I mean, it's like I can't push people to like who they like. So
the thing, what I love about what you just said though too is that you came into the process open, like you said to Brennan, I'm here to be open and vulnerable and all of that. And I feel like that's where we connected, is that there was this willingness. And I'm sure that was the case for other people, but that's where you and I began to talk about this level of vulnerability and to be open, specifically based upon the past that we had and the things that we had experienced, and to just be like, let's do something different than we hadn't done before. Had it been your experience historically that you are not as open or vulnerable?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I had a boyfriend. He was amazing. And he's like, it takes like 6 months to get in your wall. Through your wall. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like a trust issue. It's all this stuff. And so my son, when he gave me that rock says proud, he actually told me, I took it a different way, as you saw on the TV, like my vulnerability with my soft side is very vulnerable. Like I hide that. And I'm always like this driver, you know, type A kind of woman, masculine energy. But he was so proud of me watching me be so vulnerable. He's like, you should be proud of that, Mom, that you're vulnerable. And so I'm like, thank God, I'm so happy that my son is seeing this, because I was just growing and blooming, right? And the softer side, trying to be open. And so when I was very authentic, that was an authentic answer, because immediately I could have said Troy. My son saw Troy. He was like, yeah, that's my mom's type. But I really didn't want to say that at the time, because I wanted to give the other guys an opportunity, and I wanted to have the opportunity to get to know these men. And I wasn't going to jump to a conclusion like I typically do. So that was an authentic answer. I know it sounded presidential, very diplomatic, but that was the truth. It was.
Yeah. Well, it was like my answer when she said, "Are you ready to find love?" I said, "Yes." And it seemed like it was intense, but it's like, what the hell else am I here for? Yes. Like,
he's like, oh, she's gonna hit me.
And when she asked the question, all I could think about was, wait, are they going to pull the rug from up under us? Is this a different type of show? Did I sign up for something else? So my answer was really rooted. It felt intense, but it was like, yes, unless you're going to tell me something else. And I'm not sure why you're asking that. But now I'm on edge.
Slowly cautious, being the newbies, and all these other people are like, oh, you have no idea. Oh, yeah, this is it. This is that. And like, we were waiting a week to get in. We had to quarantine for another week. So we quarantined. People maybe not know this, but we had to quarantine 2 weeks. Everybody got on the show, and then we had to quarantine another week. So that was 3 weeks in a hotel room by ourselves, not being able to get out anything. Like, it was just mad.
Right. So it's like, oh, people.
We were all like ready.
Yes, I'm here to find love. Oh.
And then shut down. And I literally, my dates were like started and then they ended. I didn't get to have any full dates at all. Like,
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to talk about that. I felt like Stephanie really got the short end of the stick a lot in terms of the dating experience. But I do also want to acknowledge you for how you handled it with such grace and humility and humor and fun. And I know that it was frustrating at times, but you still was like, this is messed up. And you're like, okay, you still went along.
Even the kids felt bad. They're like, what, again? I'm like, I can't get a break. Oh, well, might as well just, I mean, what am I going to do? Everybody had established relationships with each other. It's like, and then the two new guys, Grant and Joel, came out. And then it was almost like we got together because we were the last ones of the group. So I kind of wish they maybe brought us in a little earlier. I hope next year that the next season they'll do that for the couples, just because it's hard. Right. It was hard to kind of penetrate the first group. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I know exactly what you mean. And so, but because your dates were cut short, there wasn't a chance for you to truly get to connect with people, at least from the camera side of it. Talk about what other growth occurred for you in the house. I mean, you mentioned about the vulnerability part of it, and that's what Brendan was so very proud of. Were there any other things that you noticed or experienced of yourself in terms of a growth opportunity during your time there in the house? Yeah,
I mean, it was really, first of all, I want to say it was the crew or the cast and the people, we were like best friends. Everybody is like, we're still connected, and amazing selection of people. We're all very similar. The production company and, ITV, HBO Max, they picked the best group of people. Don't you agree? So I do. Yeah. So it was really refreshing, first of all, to see other people just like us in all shapes and sizes, and just coming together. And literally I think we have similar value systems. I think that's what connects us all. So it was really easy to get along with everybody. The other thing is, though, we did have that shaman day, which I wish they showed more of that. That was that was so powerful. Intense. It was. And you and I are like, we were just like, holy moly. And even the kids, even my son loved that experience. He learned a lot. And he was crying. They don't show him crying, but he was crying too, because with me, I was bawling before we even began. I don't know what hit me, but it was very spiritual. And I really felt so thankful and so just couldn't believe the experience I was having with, understanding my masculine energy and respecting my feminine energy. And I want that to be brought out more. So I think just getting to know myself better in that way. And then also more of a connection with my son. It strengthened our relationship because he understood me. He saw vulnerability that he's never seen in me. So I think that was the biggest takeaway for me, was a better relationship and more respect for my soft side. And then, and to share that more with others. And then, because they like it, right? Yeah. And then also the relationship with my son, the strengthening that. So, and meeting great friends that'll be forever friends, so.
That's great, Stephanie. Yeah. I want to touch on the feminine and like masculine aspect of it, because there's a tendency for us to believe, and I was talking to a friend of mine recently, that there's a tendency as very strong women, direct women, specifically when you're a single parent, right? I had never really kind of coined myself. I avoid labels, right? So I didn't coin myself as like having masculine energy, but my daughter was like, "Of course you do," and I'm like, well, what do you mean I have masculine energy? She was like, how could you not? Like what you had to do and endure, of course there's that kind of like masculine energy. But my point is that often I feel like I have to be feminine in order to attract a man, right? That energy has to come first, because what I've noticed is that a lot of women who are in relationships are a little bit more softer or show their softer side. So I was like, I'm struggled with that. And I was like, but that doesn't come natural to me. And so why do I have to force that part that is not natural to me? And I want to be able to have someone to accept me for all that I am. And now, the feminine side comes out because I can do that, but it's not the thing that I naturally lead with. And so I feel like that's the same with you. Do you feel like you often have to like downplay or dim your light?
No, I look at it differently. I look at it differently because, I mean, would you agree that everybody has multiple, not multiple personalities, but they have multiple things within their personality that they bring out more than others. So I think that everybody has a masculine and a feminine side. Men, women, whoever, everybody has that, right? Yeah. And you can choose what your comfort zone is, which is more masculine energy, because we had to raise kids, we had to be fathers, we had to be mothers, we had to work, we had to do this. And all that's fine and dandy, but there can only be one masculine, there can only be one hard, one soft. It's just the way it goes. That's just the way it is. You can't have two alphas together. It's just too difficult. So you can still be strong, you can still have a masculine energy, but I think to bring out our feminine side, we're not used to it. And it's uncomfortable. And so I want to develop more of that part of myself, where I'm super developed in the masculine energy side, because I've been with it so long. And I recognize the same way that you did, where, it is, if you're heterosexual like us, it is, men can appreciate our strength, but they also want to be masculine too,
Right. But do you not think that, so I hear that, do you also not think that part of kind of sharing the feminine side, if you will, is also contingent on the people and spaces you're in, that there's a safeness that needs to occur, right? Like my feminine comes out when I'm in the presence of someone that can embrace it, that I trust can hold it and honor it. And do that, right? So if the void of that, then it's not happening.
Because you're very vulnerable, and that's the space that we get hurt a lot, is in that soft space. As women, we've gotten hurt. I'm sure you have, when you've opened up yourself and just been like, and then you just start closing it off again because you feel too weak. You feel too scared that you don't want to get hurt again.
You feel too exposed, right? It's like, I'm exposed. I'm sharing all of this with you. And then if it's not held if it's not taken care of and held with care, then it's like, whoop, like
now you're going to go back because it didn't feel good, right? But we got to remind ourselves that you're going to get hurt either way. And I think people have said, oh, I like your softer side. You're more gentle. You're not so aggressive. And I appreciate that, because I don't want to be aggressive or intense all the time. It's just more of a protective mechanism for me, because I'm really used to being like that. all the time. So I think, I think bringing out different parts of our personality and sharing that and showing that is beneficial to us as women.
It is.
And, what I found was I always dated more feminine energy men when I brought the masculine energy. And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't into it. And I'm like, what is my thing? Like, why do I keep attracting these feminine energy men? There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't want that. I'm sorry, but I would rather have somebody like take charge like me. And so I started figuring it out and then utilizing some different tools to bring more of allowing the man. And I started getting other men, like more masculine men. And it was amazing because I'm like, okay, and I can take care of my own self. I can do all this stuff. Do I want a companion? Yeah, it's fun. It's nice. It's I want to feel protected though. That's my thing. I don't want to be the one who's always teaching. I want to learn from this person. I want them to learn from me. I want to share this with a person who I feel like safe with, protected. That's what I want,
Yeah, I love that. We definitely want it to be reciprocal in many ways, right? Like as you said, you can drive. I use a driving analogy, right? I can drive, and I'm generally often, and probably sure that you are too, are often in the driver's seat. But I would like to be in the passenger seat.
It's nice. It's like,
right? I like to be able to fall asleep and not necessarily have to give the direction and trust that we will arrive to our place, right? So like kind of like that. I want to take the passenger seat or the back seat, if you will. And so I think for me, one of the growth things was, and I'm bringing back to what you said, is that really trusting and not necessarily giving the power to someone else to determine whether or not I get to be feminine and or masculine, that I get to choose that for myself and trusting that if the person will handle it with care or not, but I'm not going to let that deter me from being vulnerable.
Exactly.
And I think that's what occurred. And you may have seen this and you may agree, Stephanie, even with my dates with Philip, what they didn't show a lot of, I was pushing myself, right? And I was like, I'm just going to stay open. It didn't feel good in the beginning. There were some things that were happening, and I said, that's okay. I'm going to push myself. I'm still going to stay open. I'm still going to be vulnerable, like even regardless of what he is saying or not saying. And I think that is, to me, one of the biggest lessons that came out of it.
Yeah, and I saw that. And I saw that you were sad. I saw you when I was walking around by the picture, the little photo booth, and you were really upset. Like I saw you, and they didn't really show that too much. They showed a little bit, but I was like, what happened? I didn't know what happened with you, but you were really upset, like disappointed. And I'm sure that hurt when he said that to you. You were like, oh, because you really liked him.
Yeah. If you know what,
I'm proud of you, because then what happened? Grant came in, popped out of a freaking cake, right? I mean, that should be like a life lesson, saying just because one door closes doesn't mean another cake won't open. Like, you might get your guy come popping out of a cake like 5 minutes later. You don't know. You didn't know that was going to happen.
I did not know at all. I thought it was time to pack it up and go. Yeah. But here we have it.
I love that. So that was just such a nice, that was a really great experience for you to be vulnerable, really hurt. But then what happened? It was great.
And I wanted to say, in addition to the vulnerability for you and I, they didn't show that either, but prior to like getting ready for the superhero party, you and I had a very tender moment in the bed together. Like we were in the bed together. We
were in the bed together, but we were hanging.
We were in the bed together. It is what it is. We were in the bed together. We were fully dressed though, right? But we were talking about love, right? Yeah. We were talking about love and agape love and our experiences as single moms, having been on welfare, right? And what that experience was like for us. And so, talk a little bit about where you've come from and how you got from there to where you are today.
Well, I mean, I was married at tender age of 18. I was a Mormon for 30 years. And so I had 3 kids early in my life. I had all 3 by the time I was 26. Married 17 years. The marriage obviously didn't turn out like I had hoped originally, but it's all good. I divorced in 2006. I've been single since then, but I had to raise my children. We were on welfare when I was married. Then I was very proud, single mother, never being on welfare again after that. We were welfare probably a long time, probably a decade. We were both working, but, I'm not going to get into the details, but it was very stressful experience. I mean, it was a really good experience being married, but it was a very stressful experience with, just the experiences I had when I was married. So, but when I left my ex-husband, I started working and hustled for 2 months straight, 12-hour days, 100% commission job. I don't have a college degree. So I was just helpless because I was just like, oh my God, I have 3 kids. The ex-husband put himself into the Army, and I was by myself in Minnesota, raising my children 100% of the time. And it was tough. It was, they didn't get a lot of the nurturing that they need just because I was trying to work and make a living and keep a roof over their heads. And, they didn't get to play in sports or anything because I didn't want other parents to take care of my kids all the time. But you know what? They're all 3 grown and they're very successful. And I'm super proud of at least what I did. I bought my own townhome. I bought my own cars. And I was just really happy about the success as far as being a single mom, never being on welfare again. But there was a lot of trying times, I mean, my kids got the short of the end of the stick sometimes, but, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm really proud of my kids. They're amazing, dynamic individuals, and they care and they have compassion and to people in this world. And that's really what I wanted to achieve, was having them being real close to one another, as friends, and, successful, meaning whatever they're happy with in life, and also having compassion for people. That's what I think I definitely achieved that as being, trying to raise these children for 10 years by myself. So I really didn't have a lot of, because I was a Mormon, I never drank my whole life. So at 35, I went like Mormon gone wild. And that's what I told Joel. I went from here all the way over there. And I finally figured out, got to balance up. Yeah, I don't know, 6-7 years later. So not only was a single mom, I was also growing myself. I stopped growing in my head at 18, dated younger guys because it was just like I never got that opportunity or chance. And then I was singing and all that stuff before I got divorced, and then I had to stop, and then I went into a cover band. But I was an original artist, so I synced up with Michael Bland and Tommy Barbarella, Prince. They found me. They produced my CD, played on it. We played all over Minnesota, and then I got divorced, and then everything stopped. And then I started singing cover bands when I had a normal job that I had 9 to 5 and had my weekends off, and then I created my own band later on after a few bands I was in. And my band right now, Starless Web, is, a couple years old, and people are loving it because it's, a tribute to women. So
girl power.
Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah. So, I didn't feel like I should take away any more time than I already have with my children, dating and having boyfriends and all that. So it was just kind of put off hold. And that's why people are like, why are you still single? It's because I was a delayed human being. I needed to grow myself and who I was without being a Mormon. Just I'm still technically a Mormon, and I love the people in the church and the values that I was brought up with. I really do appreciate it. But I found that it wasn't aligning with me. Some of it wasn't aligning with what my beliefs were myself, figuring out who I was and all that. So,
well, I'm grateful that you was on this journey and trajectory of finding yourself. And sometimes, what people don't, and not that we need credit from anybody else, but what people don't give enough credit for is that when you have children relatively young, you're raising them, but you're also growing alongside them. Destiny likes to say to me and has said to me, she grew up with me, right? And so we were growing together, and there's no, blueprint, so to speak, about how to do this. So you do it the best that you can. And I want to say that you seemingly from the outside looking in, of doing a phenomenal job. It is not easy out here. And I think that that's one of the things that definitely connected us is not only your strength, but understanding the challenges of raising children, right? I had 3 children as well, 3 daughters as well. Well,
Beautiful daughters, by the way.
Well.
Nice, great job,
Thank
Kiki.
you. Thank you. Same to you, Stephanie. And you all have to hear Stephanie's music. Her voice is phenomenal. Actually, one day you actually posted on your Insta story and you had linked a song. And I noticed the last name and I said, I wonder, is that a relative of hers, right? There was a song that you did on your stories, and I think it happens to be one of your other son. It was your other son.
Yeah.
The song, oh my God, the song is beautiful. I was like, holy smokes, beautiful. So definitely a gifted and talented family.
They're
So
very
hats off.
gifted. I mean, I'm not saying that because they're my kids, but they're literally gifted. They have never had any sort of lessons. This is all from their brains. They have natural, beautiful voices, perfect pitch. I'm just like, and now Brennan, my son who was on the show, he's been doing this for a long time, but he and my youngest son, Sean, have created a band called Fernbrook. And they are going to be coming out with, they're putting their first song out called Voodoo Woman. And that's going to be a new release next month. So everybody check that out. And it's amazing. But they're also producing me too. I'm going to come out with some original music. So the last time I came out with a CD was 20 years ago when they were like 4 years old and like 8. They've always heard me like sing till 4 o'clock in the morning, writing my tunes when they're babies in their cribs, right? But now, 20 years later, I'm doing this with my kids. That's like so crazy. And Alyssa's amazing voice. Alyssa doesn't want to sing, but she has an incredible voice too. My daughter. But yeah, so I'm super excited and thrilled to do this with my kids. I'm just like, it's so fun. It's so fun. Right. And we all similarly think alike. We sound good together, but I'm able to do this with my kids is such a blessing. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah. I didn't ask Dania this because I forgot, but I'm going to ask you, would you do another reality show?
Yeah, of course.
You would? You know what I think? I would actually. It would have to be the right kind of show, right? I feel like for me, I don't necessarily know about, it would probably be one where that really gets to show the multi-dimension of who I am, right? Can be one that's just so fast. Like you have to be able to experience the development and see who I am. What I love about like what we do is that you use your music and the cover band about women empowerment. Yes. I use the podcast for women empowerment. We have Dania that is also doing women empowerment. So I think, it's no mystery that we all came together in the way that we did. Powerful stories, experiences, and just the way women of being of service, right? Service through speaking, through singing, through whatever that is. And I think that is what the world did not get to experience on the show, but guess what? You get to experience it right here, everybody, on Just Boom.
You were doing this before. We were both doing this before we got on the show. Like, it's our thing, right? So I think that strong, positive, like inspirational stuff is so important to women, even in men too. Like, I think it's good to have men see. I think the men who appreciate people like us, women like us, they're supportive too. We have wonderful men in this world.
That's right. And we have wonderful men on the show, like in the world and on the show. And again, not backstories to them, but Grant, for example, as a single dad who was raising his children alone. Right. There are the fathers on the show are actively involved in their children's lives. Yes. And we talked a little bit about that on the show, about the difference and the challenges of dating as a mom, like a single mom versus that of a dad and all of that stuff. So there's a lot to us. We are multi-dimensional human beings, as all human beings are. And so what you saw was just a glimpse of that. We're happy that the show has been well received and that people are enjoying it for the wholesomeness that it is and the cringeworthiness that it is. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And we want to let you get to see us and all of our, and more of our glory. I shouldn't say all of it because you'll never get to really know all of it, but more of our glory.
Literally, I think the people Yeah, it would be kind of fun to do like a reunion show or something like that. So we could, everybody, the viewers have to request that to ITV and HBO
Right.
Max to get her. So we could share more of this stuff, like what happened with us, like all the little things.
People want to know, are you single? They want to know that. Are you
yeah, I'm single.
single? Are you active?
I'm,
She's available. So single and available? Because you could be single and not available. Are you single and
I
available?
am available and I'm single.
Woo!
At this moment.
Because there are people that out there single, but they're not emotionally or physically available, but you're single and available. Y'all heard that there. But you're going to have to come. Y'all saw Steph on the show. Y'all going to have to come correct, honey, or don't come at all.
Oh my gosh. It's great. And we really appreciate the opportunity. And what you see is what you get on the show. Everybody's exactly like they are on the show. We are that. Mm-hmm. So we're not acting or anything. So if you like wonder, I mean, maybe Jimmy did, everybody loves Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy. We miss Jimmy.
It's funny. They named that title after I said Jimmy Jam, but I'm from Minneapolis. And so of course you got Jimmy Jam, right? That's from, right. But I thought that was kind of fun how they tied it in on that. I said, Jimmy Jam's jamming up the date. Did they name the episode when I said Jimmy Jam? But I talked about Minneapolis, right? And Kansas City.
That is hilarious.
So I was in Minneapolis 20 years. That's where I met Prince's, all the folks there, Prince and all that stuff. So, but that was pretty freaking funny. I was like, that's hilarious. Jimmy, I don't even remember. Well, I don't even remember me saying that. Honestly, that was pretty funny. And I'm not usually funny. I have a sense of humor.
No, you're not usually. You're hilarious.
I can't believe it. I'm like, I'm actually kind of funny. I'm not typically funny. I usually have a sense of humor, but every now and then things come out and they're like, whoa. My kids are like, hey, Mom, that was really freaking funny. And I'm like,
no, you're funny.
I'm usually.
We thought they were going to show more of, because I obviously didn't see it, but the kids saw it. There was apparently you were doing, you kept saying, cheers to that. Cheers to that. Every time we did something, it was like, cheers to that. So they thought that they would show more of that, because had they, I'm sure that you'd end up on Andy Cohen's show right now. And they'd be like toasting and be like, every time you hear her say cheers to that, take a shot. You said,
they're like, they don't, nobody knows, like, behind the scenes how funny that was, because we weren't able to drink on the set at all, really, unless they gave us like I said, I think it's liability reasons, unless they gave us, like, at the party had a couple drinks, that's all we could have. So people don't know we didn't have any alcohol in the house or anything. So I think when we were like, oh my God, there's a shot.
You want to chat? Stephanie said, shot?
Because I was like, we don't drink or anything on the show. It sounded like shot. Chat. Where? Did you see me? I was so excited. I'm like, this is my kind of guy. But I'm like, oh, man. We didn't just confiscate any of the alcohol. Me and Trish taking, like, from the bottle. Scott was taking a bottle from, it was just like, oh, my God.
Oh, so many fun behind the scenes moments, or actually not even behind the scenes. There were moments that were in the house because the camera is there. So we're being filmed all the time. You didn't get to see it, but I thank Stephanie for sharing all of that with me now. But before we go, as we wrap up, is there anything that you want to share with the people? Anything that you want to say in terms of what you're working on, or any thing you want to share in general that we may not have covered and you want them to know?
Yeah, well, I mean, I love everybody, the followers and viewers. Just support the show. If you want to see any sort of reunion show, we just need your help by just like tagging or tweeting, HBO Max and ITV for it. So we can have another show to share with you guys what actually happened to all the dates or all the couples and juicy behind the scenes stuff. Also, if you'd like to follow me, I would love it. I just got back on Twitter since 2014. So please, I have like 10 followers at this moment because I just started like the other 2 days ago. But I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram under Steph Varone Official. I am on Facebook under artist, Stephanie Varone Artist. And so you can find me all over. StephanieVarone.com will lead you to all those links. And I have Starlette'sWeb.com, of course. And so, yeah,
Yay.
just follow, and I'll share some fun stuff along the way. And Kiki, I'm so appreciative of you having me join you today. I've made a lifelong friend with you. You're a dynamic, beautiful
Mm,
soul, and I'm really happy to have met you on the show.
yeah.
I love
Same
you to
here.
death.
I do. I love you too. The feeling is mutual. I am so grateful, and I think we could probably in one of my episodes I'm going to talk about vulnerability and even a little bit about the relationship and what I learned. There was a powerful lesson that I learned recently from a text exchange that you and I
Hmm.
had, and I think I want to share that with folks because it all opened me up in a way that I didn't even realize that I needed to have open. So, but I thank you because you are magnificent. You're dynamic. You bring out the best in me, and I
Aw.
appreciate that. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
you too.
Thank you so
You
much.
will.
So thank you so much, and remember, no matter where you are, what season you're in, what stage of life you're in, it's never too late to have the life that you want, and it's never too late to just
Just
bloom.
bloom.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you.